A sense of stubbornness in him.
His passion.
He's a man of prayer, has been a role model.
St. John's Fire celebrity.
Certain kind of toughness that he has.
Man full of life, full of encouragement.
We came here for our juniorate, and we used to live in St. Anne's, behind St. Anne's Hospital. It was called Arrupe House. That's different from Arrupe College. So that is to correct the notion that Kizito is an old boy of Arrupe College. No, I was at Arrupe House. It was the juniorate, and our junior master was none other than Reverend DHB, David Harold Barry. Wonderful man. I came back to Harare. Shirima, in justifying my going to Harare and preparing me in philosophy, his justification was that a new school was in the offing. That was to be Arrupe College, English speaking. So it sort of focused my studies. I knew I was being prepared to come and teach in the long run at Arrupe College. It helped me to settle, to have my heart in one place, almost to a fault. So I came over to Arrupe. That's my second incarnation as a regent. And I was the only regent. When I came in, Professor Daka was just finishing his regency. So he gave me a few tips and off he went. So I went off to class, and we had on the staff many Americans. I was one of 3 Africans, I think, on the teaching staff: Shirima, Makuru, and myself. Things were good. I like teaching. It's my passion. And my subjects were, first of all, philosophy. It used to be called philosophy of nature, which I co-taught with Father Roland Lesseps from Zambia. He would fly in and teach the agricultural part of the course, and then I would do modern physics and modern physics of it, including philosophy of nature, really, cosmology, philosophical cosmology. So I loved that, and it was what I had mainly studied for my licentiate. But a few other subjects came up. I taught a seminar on Aristotle's Politics. I taught a seminar on Kant's Critique of Pure Reason. I co-taught Introduction to Philosophy and African Philosophy with Father Buckland. I co-taught a course on French literature and French conversation.
One other thing I remember about Kizito that time, he was young and full of energy, is engaging us in arguments. We used to discuss all sorts of things and challenging each other, trying the little philosophy that we had learned, logic and so forth, and he would energetically engage in those discussions, and we learned a lot. Even the mere effect of being confident in expressing oneself, and also even standing one's ground against the whole group. He was one such example of that. He didn't shy away from taking a position. Even among formators, he didn't shy away from taking a position that would be opposed by the rest, but him holding on to what he was convinced.
Then I went for theological studies, my licentiate in theology in Frankfurt, but my eyes were on philosophy. Then I got admitted to my dream school. I had always wanted to study at the London School of Economics, and I had always wanted to study philosophy of science. So I was lucky to be supervised by Professor Nancy Cartwright, who was by then the chair of philosophy at the London School of Economics. I don't think it took my superiors a long time to decide where I was going. I had been educated and formed to come to a house of formation. So in 2009, I came back. And after 2 years of teaching, I went back to my subjects, really philosophy of science. It was by then cut off from any other thing. It was a self-standing subject, philosophy of science. With it, I combined epistemology at master's level, analytic epistemology. And the way I understood my teaching profession was to balance Arrupe so that we have a bit of analytic philosophy, an analytic tradition. That's what I wanted to really spearhead. There was a lot that came from the continent. I wanted Arrupeans to see this other side of philosophy, this other side of reasoning, which is very, very empiricist. I was dragged out of the classroom kicking and screaming. I really thought I should continue teaching, but my superiors and council thought I should cut back on my workload. There was enough work to do as Vice Chancellor.
He taught me philosophy of science and philosophy of artificial intelligence. I think for someone who is a commoner, these are big terms, complex subjects. But the way that they were taught in class, even if you are not a tech person or someone who is so familiar with these things of technology and artificial intelligence, you begin to love them and you read more about all those kind of the things that you would have brought. And he was one of those, he comes to class with study packs so thick and he makes sure that you read them. And the ones he's so passionate in making that people, they appreciate, they come out of their comfort zones and appreciate what the world has to offer.
In the classroom, I believed in every student. I didn't want to know where a student had been. I believed that every student could bring the best out of himself or herself.
I think he can also teach ECD class because when he's teaching, he brings everything to the ground level. I remember I taught him logic, but he didn't leave it in air. He brought it to my understanding, to personal down level.
Art of teaching itself, being able to bring those two aspects together, love of the subject, and to help the student to also love the subject like he did. He was amazing in the classroom. The way he taught, the way he explained, his originality in teaching. I do not think I will meet many lecturers that as inspiring as Father Kizito was as a teacher.
I think I had a reputation of being a very strict teacher. I flipped when I went in front of the class. People said, do we know this guy? Yeah, because I think studies are very, very important. As Ignatius tells us, studies must take the whole man. So I believe that in the core of my bones. Studies are really, really very important because it's like a laboratory. You go inside there and you experiment on things, on character, on discipline, on grit, on all these things come together in the studies. And if you believe in yourself, you are surprised. And that's my joy, to see that someone has evolved intellectually. And together with that, all the other aspects of life. A person who didn't believe in himself or herself comes out confident. Then I know I have done my job.
He's a man of two different personalities. The man you know in the community or maybe during sports is different in class. He's a man who means business when it comes to work. If he's teaching today and tells you the class at 8, my dear, they come at 8:05, even 5 minutes past, you won't attend. They have failed to do his assignments. You'll wonder, is it the one I know that when you're in the community jokes? So what I want to say, it means business when it comes to work.
You realize that Jesuit is one of those guys whereby when he was in class, when an assignment is due, there is no negotiation, and demands to make sure that your life is organized. Once you set your goals, you achieve them. And even if it is class, he would say, if a class begins at 10:45, be ready for there. I should not You should not disturb others by coming late to class.
So I still miss class, and at the first opportunity I'll go back to class. My subjects, I miss my students, the camaraderie and so on. In 2014, the dean was called back to his province. Professor Daka was called back, and they needed a dean. And when they looked around, by some inspiration, they thought I could do work like that. I really never thought of myself as an administrator. My place was in the classroom. By and large, I'm beginning to find my place in administration. I'm beginning to know what my style is. It is, without any surprise, very informal, friendly. I believe in the goodness of humanity, and I try to build on that.
One of the great things about working with a man like Kizito is that it's important when you're working in an institution to work with a boss who loves the institution, who loves his work, who loves the fact that the institution should grow, that the institution doesn't just remain where it is, that the institution must grow. And the passion with which he wanted to see this institution grow from Arrupe College to Arrupe Jesuit University, just that filled me with a lot of enthusiasm. It filled me with a lot of hope. It filled me with a lot of courage that we could do this, that we can do this, and that we will do this.
And one thing I picked from the beginning of 2017 when I came here is that Kizito is very committed to the mission of building or developing Arrupe University. He always wanted this to be a university, and he put everything against all the resistance and the criticisms that were coming from all different corners. He stood his ground to continue this process. And at some point he was getting discouraged, and I although I was coming in as new, I had to come and say, you have started this, don't stop. You taught me this when you were doing regions, that when we started, we ran with it until the end. And so that's what I used to remind him. And he would take this up, and he has taken it up, and he's still seeing it through.
He comes across as a very life-giving, ebullient person, and outgoing and outreaching, touches a lot of people just from the kind of person that he is. I think too, behind that personality is a very intelligent mind at work. He's had a lot of experiences of living in different places, and has always continued to reflect very seriously on the significance of the events that he had witnessed or that he had spoken to others about, so that not only does he have a great number of stories, but he has reflected upon the significance of those experiences.
He's the kind of person who lets you do what you are supposed to do. He is hands-on, but he is not on top of you, so to speak. He is not overbearing. He leaves you to get on with what you're supposed to do. It's important, obviously, to give him reports. It's important to keep him abreast with what is going on, but he pretty much leaves you to do what you need to do.
There's a sense of stubbornness in him, which is I think has been a great strength for him in facing a difficult situation, because he never gives up. He'll always work at it, and he'll always put his time and his energy into it, day after a week, after a month.
When I came here in 2017 as rector of the college then and the community, one big question that I was asking myself is, after being a director of some apostolic work in the province and interacting with the superior, was a question that I was asking was, how am I going to relate with Kizito, who was my lecturer, and now he is my director and I'm his superior? How are we going to work together? Are we going to respect the lines and respect the work, the mission that we are both been sent? I had so many questions, and I say, are we going to click? And I said, sometimes it doesn't necessarily matter whether we are friends or not. What we need to do is to focus on the same mission.
When I go to a city, after looking for the church where I will go for mass, the next temple I look for is the dojo, the karate dojo. I started karate in 1994 when I came to Zimbabwe, and I've been doing it until now. I've never stopped.
Kizito, apart from being the Vice Chancellor, he was also a lecturer at some point in time. And these two responsibilities did not prevent him from coming to the dojo and training us.
I teach karate because of what karate has done for me, which is, it has helped me contain my energies and focus them. It has taught me not to take violence lightly. I don't want anyone being a victim around me. And so I will jump in and defend the person at any level. Physical, it prepares me for anything, any eventuality. But also my own violence. I don't want to take that for granted. So I'm supposed to discipline myself. A mock fight can end up with a death. You learn that in karate. You can punch the wrong place and the person dies. So karate therefore has been for me a way of focusing energies. So when I see a young man who is too energetic for himself, or a young woman who is too energetic for herself, I usually try to lure them to karate, to rechannel this energy.
I first met Kizito Kiyimba here at the then Arrupe College doing karate. That is why I'm in my karate gi. Kizito Kiyimba is a man of character formation. He looks very tough outwardly, and yet very soft and cool from inside.
An eminent thing that karate has done for me is, in karate, there are only problems, and problems are for solving. You don't walk away from a fight on a dojo. Okay, on the street you are advised to run away because someone is armed and so on. But when we are brought together for a fight on a tatami, the mat, you can't cower and kneel down and say, forgive me. No, you have to give what you have, however small it might be. You might lose the fight. But really what we are fighting against in karate is yourself, your fears, your limitations.
I almost ran away from karate, of how he would express himself. That is wrong. That is wrong. No, he is very good, challenging me and also encouraging me in many ways. I met him with a white belt, not knowing what karate was. All the movements were very new. All the katas were very strange, unique, and very strange ways of walking and doing karate. What I thought karate was, it was so strange to me. But Kizito was very patient with me.
According to him, people are capable of doing a lot of things. It's just a matter of telling themselves that they are capable of doing that. So it's all in the mind, self-confidence.
Or you're fighting to contain yourself. If you overestimate yourself and you're floored on the, then you know that, don't judge a book by its cover. Some people look slim, tiny, slight, but they are very good at what they do. So it's really character formation. I bring all these things to a student of karate. I think with my writing of my PhD in London, karate played a great role for me. I participated in so many tournaments. I have a bunch of medals, gold, silver, bronze. I fought, I did kata, yeah. And sometimes people in the community would think I'm doing more karate than studies. So they said, Kizito, are you at the London School of Economics or the London School of Karate? But they didn't know what karate was doing for me. The tension that you come with from the library, from Monday to Friday you're in the library. Then on Saturday or Sunday you go for a tournament somewhere in Birmingham, in Manchester or Edinburgh. That's when you let off steam. That's when you show another side of yourself. It's something to look forward to.
That spirit of karate, be it in discipline, in organization, self-discipline, he wants to pass it on. And I feel we have, us as the Arrupe Shotokan Karate Club, we have joined, and personally, I came at Aju 2016 without knowing anything, any movement, any block or any punch. But Kizito took me, and not focusing on the weaknesses of a person, he focused on the strengths, and those strengths and the little that would have done, and he would make sure that he compounds on all the improvements that we would be making.
After the karate dojo, we would then meet outside and you'd say, man, don't give up. I was like you also. You know, now I'm in a black belt, but you also reached there. And I'm very grateful that today I'm wearing this black belt due to his encouragement and what he has been to me as an individual.
I also use it to gauge character. You see, with sports, you know the character of a person to a great extent. Now with karate, it's even more because you put them under a lot of pressure. Can the person control himself when he's under a lot of pressure? Can he remain disciplined when he's under threat? Yeah. How does she or he consider competition? What's competition? Can she be fair in a competition? Is it okay to lose? Is self-mastery in the toolbox of this person? All these nice things, I have learned them from karate. And they are the things I would like to pass on to my karate students.
As a man, I know even other people will tell you he has stories. He has nice stories all the time you meet Kizito. When you're seated, gather at table, when you're having meals. He has stories. Actually, I think even if you stay with him for over 10 years, 20 years, every day will have a new story to tell you about his life. Not stories full of fictions, but about his life story. He has many stories. So he brings life into the community. He brings joy. He's a man that everybody would like to stay with in community.
And I discovered that actually he's just a tremendous person, especially in terms of how he deals with others. He's very, very positive, I can say that. He's very objective and he's a listening person. A lot of time when I have personal struggles, I share them with him, and he has always been able to look at them objectively and help me to handle them without actually losing my way.
And you will find that even when we have our community meetings, even on Friday, when other formators are not around, he will join us. He will join us for the meal, join us for the socials, joke with us, and debate with us, and educate us.
And he stands by what he believes. Through the courses that he teaches, especially logic, he's able to argue logically with us on table. Whatever that you bring on table, he just doesn't accept it as you have said. And the other thing is that even during this argument, sometimes when he doesn't even agree with you, but if there is a lesson there, the following day he comes to tell you, yeah, I have picked so and so. So that kind of learning is still in him. He learns from whoever that he meets, whether he argues and wins, but there is still something that he picks from these arguments.
He's a man who participates in all activities of this community, especially Mukasa, and even the activities in the AOR, as when we assemble as AOR in Arrupe. He's committed to it that you will rarely see him missing it.
As a formator, I believe in every scholastic, and There too, I can be quite strict, I think. My philosophy of formation is that those information should be given a maximum of liberty and freedom. But together with that goes a maximum of responsibility. So you're free to grow. Your formation is your thing, really. You must take it up. It must be your baby. You must choose what kind of Jesuit you want to be, or religious, or young man or woman. That's really up to you. But together with that goes a set of expectations. If you don't fulfill this side of the equation, then I go berserk. I really go berserk. You can wonder whether you've ever seen me at all. I change. That's my philosophy of education, or formation rather, that maximum responsibility together with maximum liberty.
We were having a lot of squabbles, in the student association. When he came in to help us solve the issue that we had, he's the guy who really approached the issue in a very interesting way. He listened to us and he listened to the other person that we were struggling with, and he came with a wonderful conclusion that was very logical.
But he's a man who is committed to prayer. And in every group where we are, he insists on prayer, a prayer for life. I remember that in every mass, he has an intention from friends, from Jesuit, from the province, and he prays for them.
Looking at him from a distance, you probably will think that he really has no time for prayer, but I can tell you for sure that he's a man of prayer, and he prays for a lot of people. During Mass, you find him mentioning the names of all those who contact him or who has asked for his prayers, and he will make sure that he prays for them during Mass.
He is a man who is proud of his devotion to Mother Mary.
So you find him always ending all his prayers through our Mother Mary, and I find that very inspiring for us, the young ones.
I am Sasha Murombo, the head girl of St. John's, and as the Prefects Board of 2020, we have a few words of appreciation for you, Father Kizito, on behalf of the St. John's family. It's amazing how a man can be serious, funny, warm, and disciplined at the same time.
The students found Father Kizito accessible, with no heavy intimidation, aura about him, yet very focused and firm in giving direction, guidance, and wisdom.
He has the Dominican ethos at heart and carries the Catholic morals with pride. Non-Catholics would agree that he has helped us appreciate the Catholic culture and system. The hardest thing ever was trying to sleep during his homily. It was almost impossible to want to miss his teachings, so we would listen so attentively, catching each lesson as it came.
And we appreciated also your deeply spiritual inputs. None of us could ever doze off during your homilies. They were very inspiring and challenging to all of us.
To me, he was somebody very open, somebody so free, someone who was so natural. And so, except when it came to, he is very cheerful, but when it came to business, he would be very firm and very attentive in his listening, so that when he gave you the feedback, you really felt, ooh, somebody was listening to me. And that always gave me a good feeling when I talked to him on any issue. You knew he was listening to you.
Not only has he sought to bring the learners close to Christ through his accessible homilies, he has also used the pulpits as a place for lifelong education, which is treasured by many, the current and past students, parents, teachers, and all.
Father Kizito led masses in a different, vibrant, and memorable way. He always seemed to have an accurate message on what he was going through at that particular moment, and he still taught even when he wasn't teaching. His words have brought us close to God, and our masses will never be the same without him.
He is able to gain the attention of learners with jokes that resonate with their world, with their lived experiences, and still make the life-saving message through such humor.
You showed great interest in our sick and frail sisters, and you visited them regularly, and you kept inquiring about them even any time after you left.
The humility. Despite his own academic achievements, his status as Vice Chancellor of the university, he has never found it in himself to bring to the fore his decorations, but indeed has always chosen to bring himself down to the level of our learners, making time to avail himself for interactions as and when called upon, even outside the regular calendar events.
Father Kizito is a remarkable man. We learned the importance of a smile. He always made us feel acknowledged and appreciated. His greetings were always accompanied with a smile, and it was a genuine smile he would always offer. Above all, he was a man of gratitude and humility. He always appreciated every effort we made, and what we viewed as only small, he viewed it as a big and precious gift. He taught us to be disciplined with knowledge that at Arrupe College, he was well known for the fact that if you came for his lecture late after him, you wouldn't get in.
Our oldest members found you extremely caring, sympathetic. One of our sisters shared just today with me how she was comforted when her brother had a severe accident, and you spent time with her, you consoled her, you prayed with her.
And Father Kizito was very willing and very generous in his commitment towards us. So he would come and we had nice celebrations with him. And last year, then Father Emmanuel, whom we have now as chaplain, he had an overleave visit to his family or something. And so over Christmas we had Father Kizito again too, and we were happy. We all liked him, and we were really, we could feel very free with him.
As a person, I enjoyed his company, and I definitely will personally miss him, because to me he was like a dear brother, or even a dear son and a dear friend. And the advice he would give would be so sound and rich, so that you had something to chew after he had gone. And that I always enjoyed. And I felt good after having talked to him.
The choir leader Natai Chichkamatamba said, "He gave us approval to have fun in Mass without having to say anything. He gave us confidence in ourselves and our singing, and that's something we will forever be grateful for." Father Kizito will always be the St. John's Choir celebrity. He will be greatly missed.
It is that dedication to us, despite his hands being full, that we will forever cherish.
Takudzwanira, a student and prefect representative, said, He was the non-parole of speech giving. His ability to move was unmatched. Frank, open and uncompromising, he shared lessons that personally saved me from the pitfall that society had laid out for me. His smile held all the warmth of a father and teacher. There was no malice in it. Some of his messages seem to have been designer-made for me in points in my life, be it sadness or despair or confusion or loss. He is quite possibly the most extraordinary human being I've had the chance to encounter. And lastly, Tanaka Kenemea, who is a representative of the altar servers, said, "When we used to altar serve for him, he would make us feel so comfortable and made altar serving fun. He would advise us not to be so stiff when we were on stage, to always dance and enjoy. So when we were with him, we would feed off his energy and make sure to serve Mass with absolute perfection.
So we as the prefix body just want to say thank you for all the memories ever since Form 1 up until Upper 6. We have groomed us to be better men and women in life. Thank you, Father. Go well.
Thank you, Father.
I've been appointed the new Provincial Superior of Eastern Africa. That's 6 countries, Sudan, South Sudan, Ethiopia, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania, the Horn of Africa and Eastern Africa. I go back with a bit of trepidation because looking at myself, I thought I would be the worst candidate for such office. People would tease me and I would say, of course, they are not looking for rascals, they are looking for provincials. I considered I had found my niche, I was going to be teaching philosophy, and that's it. But this has been a lesson to me that actually the vow of obedience we make is serious.
One of his greatest weakness, you allow me to say this, and I've said this to him several times, is that Kizito is so much of a classroom person. He dies to be in the classroom more than he dies to be in an office. To the last death, he still wants to be in the classroom. Even the last semester of his time at Arrupe, he squeezed some time to be in the classroom. And that's one weakness, that he needs to learn that he can also contribute to your mission in other ways. In other ways. He cannot remain stuck on what he knows best. There are other skills that he has to give opportunity or space to develop in him. Like he has been called to work in the administration, then he should have shifted the focus from the classroom to administration completely. I know it sounds like an insult if he hears this, but this he has to hear, that he has to learn to detach from the classroom and focus on other things, and allow other people maybe to fill that gap.
I begin to understand that the life I was leading was the unusual life. That you should find a niche and you live your life that way as a Jesuit. Jesuit must be mobile. Jesuit must go where the need is greatest. I was beginning to forget that, for better or for worse. Of course, I think I was doing a good job at Arrupe. And when it comes to academia, you need a bit of stability. And I thought I was filling in that role, stability. You need people who stay and ensure that the tradition continues. But no, time has come for me to go back and cooperate with my companions in East Africa to build that part of this globe, God's kingdom, and to serve the people that God has given us to serve.
There's a time for change of leadership which does an institution good. Going into his new job, to me, is a very good indication of his impact on the younger generation. For while he teaches people, he always tries to get to the deeper levels of the individual, the development and growth of the individual. In his heart, he's not just a teacher, but he's one who helps people grow. And so I would like to see his position now as a provincial as something very positive and something that he, in some sense, has earned over his years as a teacher. He has done a lot of the ground-breaking work. Now somebody will be able to build more easily. So I see it as a positive thing that he is moving out, even though it may be very painful for him.
I believe, I don't just wish, I believe Arrupe has a lot of potential, amazing potential. I believe the time will come when we shall wake up fully to our full potential, and then we shall shine as a gem in this part of the world, if not the whole world. Arrupe will be known. We have what it takes. The source or the foundation of my hope and optimism is the spirit at Arrupe. We are resilient. We are resilient. We are a small university that punches above its weight. We do all the things that other universities do, and sometimes we outshine them. So I think when we wake up to that potential, we shall really shine, we shall go places. I think I will miss the spirit of Arrupe most. The goodwill, the camaraderie, this can-do spirit, we shall do it. I'll miss that a lot. I think it comes from the youthfulness of the majority of the companions. That's what I will miss most. So, all the best, Arrupe. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kizito. May God bless you in a new assignment.
Father Kizito, we shall miss you very much, and we do hope that one day you will return to us.
As he moves on to the new mission or the next mission, what do I have to say to him? I will just challenge him to continue to be energetic.
Okay, asante sana.
At St. John's, we were blessed to have you all these years with the pleasure of having you encourage us in our walk as Christians. Most importantly, we will always tell the world about you because you are one who cannot be forgotten. May the Lord bless you, keep you, may He make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. You've made your mark here and now you're on to the next. We wish you all the best and we pray that God guides you through everything. From your ever-loving family of St. John's High School.